Story 1. So I recently quit my job at a daycare, which I'll call Happy Daycare. I had been there for almost 2 years, but due to a lot of other people quitting and being forced to participate in mandatory meetings along with other issues, I decided to leave. This one child, although no longer attending the daycare, added undue stress, not just to me, but to everyone. I'm gonna call the kid Terror, and I know that's unkind, but trust me when I say it fits. When everyone graduated to their new classroom, Terror didn't move up right away because he was still in the middle of potty training. Even though he was 3 years old, both of his parents worked, but it seemed like they weren't making any effort to potty train him on the weekends. They asked why we hadn't taken care of it. Well, we can't start potty training unless the child is also being trained at home. If there's no consistency, the lessons won't work. It took him about 2 months to move upstairs. However, it seemed like the lesson didn't stick. One of my former co-workers, I'll call her Lily, was upstairs in the same classroom as Terror. In that classroom, they have tablet computers, and the rule is that children can only use the tablet for 15 minutes. One day, Lily started smelling something unpleasant. At first, she thought someone had passed gas, but then she realized that Terror had soiled himself while sitting at the tablets. Instead of getting up and going to the bathroom, he had decided to go in his pants and remain seated in it. That was extremely unpleasant. To avoid a repeat of that incident, Lily told me about it and said Terror wasn't allowed to use the tablet for the rest of the day. He went and told his mom, who then contacted our boss, who was not helpful at all. The mother also became upset that we gave her Terror's soiled clothing. Legally, we cannot throw away clothing unless the parents give us permission. And trust me, some parents get very angry if you throw it away, even if it's completely ruined. One time, I had to help change Terror into clean clothing because he had another accident in his underwear. He was in the bathroom that's inside the classroom, and I stepped out to grab his spare clothes. When I came back, what did I find? He had urinated on the floor, right next to the toilet. His parents didn't see this as a big deal, and were once again only upset that we sent home the dirty clothing. I had to explain, once again, that we cannot throw away dirty clothing without proper consent, or we could get in trouble. Now, I was not a head teacher, I was a support teacher. That meant I would go into any classroom I was told to and help the lead teachers with whatever they needed. I usually started my day by checking to see if any classroom needed help with bathroom breaks. So while I wasn't always in the room with Terror, I knew how difficult he could be. Everyone did. If he didn't get his way, he would hit, kick, throw a tantrum, spit, or try to bite. One time, he kicked another child in the head for no reason, and we had to call the other child's mother just in case there was a concussion. Needless to say, that mother was very unhappy. Terror's parents were no help at all. They either didn't believe us or thought we were exaggerating. I honestly believe the mother was the worst. When a child got hurt, or when a child did something to a classmate, we were required to write an incident report. Terror would sometimes end up with multiple reports in one day. I think one time he had 3. I'd also often find him sitting at the front desk with the administrative staff instead of being in his classroom. Once again, the mother didn't think it was a big deal, and even implied that the teachers were the problem. I once heard her say, "I think they're making it worse." But I promise you, they tried everything to help this child. We didn't just bring in one therapist, we brought in 2 separate therapists to Happy Daycare to help him. And somehow, he still got worse. He became so difficult that my bosses started trying to assign one of the support teachers to be a one-on-one aide for him. When they asked me, I immediately said, absolutely not. Later, Lily told me our boss had tried the same thing with her. The teachers in Terror's room were at their wits' end because they couldn't just focus on one child, they had around 12 other children to care for. Terror didn't only lash out at the kids, he attacked teachers too. He hit staff members multiple times and once even tried to pinch me when I told him no. He lost many privileges due to his repeated poor behavior. For instance, he was no longer allowed to be the line leader after he took off by himself down the hallway. If you've worked in a daycare, you know that's a serious safety concern. But again, his mother insisted her child was a sweet, innocent angel. She even complained that the other children weren't playing with Terror and was upset that the teachers weren't doing anything about it. Now, children aren't naive. Many of Terror's classmates were just tired of dealing with him. Personally, I'm not a fan of forcing kids to play together. I prefer to help them understand that just because a friend doesn't want to play right now doesn't mean they won't want to play later. Still, I wasn't going to make other children play with the class bully, especially when he had hurt some of them in the past. No matter what we did, the parents were no help. They always seemed to believe that the people at Happy Daycare were the ones in the wrong. But here's some good news. Terror eventually left Happy Daycare. His parents found him a new daycare, but he didn't even finish his last week with us. Instead, he had another major outburst that required someone to be assigned to him one-on-one. One of my former co-workers overheard the staff calling his mother, telling her, "You need to come get him now." Despite all of this, I still feel bad for Terror. His parents simply refused to parent him. They excused all of his behavior and would get upset with us for trying to do our jobs. It was clear to me that he was either going to leave Happy Daycare voluntarily or be dismissed, because nothing we tried was working. So long, Terror. I truly wish you the best of luck. Story 2. This happened a while ago, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around what happened. Put your seatbelts on for a ride. I'm a 16-year-old male who since lockdown has been very lazy. I live near some bush with a path that runs along a river. Very nice area and is very popular. I had been eating a lot of lollies and cake, so I decided to get up and to go for a run. It was like midday, and it was hot, so running was really hard, and I was sweating like a pig. I have this thing where if I go for a run when it's hot, I tend to vomit. Not seriously, but just little pukes as I run. Today, especially after eating so much stuff, I was feeling extra sick. As I ran, I could feel a sick sensation in my stomach, and I knew I was going to puke. As I'm not a jerk, I went a little off the track to puke in a bush. This is when the entitled parent comes with a small dog and a young kid. This is a summary of the encounter. "Excuse me, young man." She looked like one of those women from those witch movies, and she was scary. "What the hell are you doing?" I said, "Oh, sorry, I just needed to vomit. No need to worry. It's really hot, and this happens when I get too hot." I thought this woman had a heart and was seeing if I was okay. Boy, was I wrong. The entitled parent. "You know this is a public area. Maybe you should hold it in." That is disgusting, and I don't want my kids seeing you puke. Please hold it in so the public doesn't see. You disgusting pig. I was kinda mad at this point. "I'm sorry, I can't hold it in. I'm off the track, and I'm not hurting anyone, so please leave me alone." "Screw you. You kids are so disrespectful. I don't want to see you vomit. I'm going to call the police as you are disturbing the public." "Please stop. You can just walk past. Please just leave me alone." At this point I was angry, scared, and I just wanted to go. I still felt sick, and I knew I was going to vomit any second, but I really didn't want this lady to call the police on me. I started to walk past her when she grabbed me. "You stay and wait for the police." She started to call the police. I needed to vomit so bad. I tried to move away from this crazy lazy lady. Then she grabbed me by my hair. I have longish hair for a guy. At this point, I vomited all over the ground, some getting on her dog, and the poor kid, who at this point was sitting and playing with some flowers. The lady screamed. The dog didn't mind and was licking the vomit, and the kid just sat there, oblivious to the whole situation. The lady, still screaming, pulled out her self-defense pepper spray and sprayed me in the eyes with it. The pain was unbearable, and I collapsed crying and clutching my eyes. A saint of a man who was walking by saw me crying, and this lady with pepper spray, and immediately put two and two together, running over to grab the pepper spray and make this lady lie down while checking me to see if I was okay. I didn't see or really remember what happened next, but the police were called and this lady was arrested. The bystander stayed with me the whole time and even went to the hospital with me. My parents were away. The aftermath. The entitled parent got arrested and got jail time. Her husband, a super nice bloke, came to my house to personally apologize and got me a game for my Xbox as an apology gift. The bystander's family and my family became pretty good friends, and I became very good friends with his daughter, who was my age. We are dating now. I didn't have serious damage to my eyes, but I need glasses for reading now, which sucks. The whole ordeal was so weird, but I did make new friends out of it, so I'd if it was that bad. Update. Thanks so much for the response. To clear up some questions. She went to a detention center for 18 months with a chance of parole. My mom wanted to sue her, but I didn't want to as it would affect the woman's husband and family, and they were so nice to me. The husband is getting a divorce, but for some personal reasons, he is waiting until she leaves prison to do so. Me and my girlfriend are still together, and I hang out with her and her little sister, who I have become besties with. Story 3. I work as part of a skeleton crew in a hotel. This means that on any given night, I'm everything from waiter to handyman to the laundry service. Technically, I'm mainly laundry. Because of the current global situation, things have been a bit slow, but we do still get customers. This particular night we are especially slow, which I'm not complaining about because it gives me the chance to chill while waiting for the laundry to be done. I get a call on the radio to bring towels to a room, which is a pretty common request. I don't think much of it. I take fresh towels from the laundry racks, go to the customer's room, and let them know housekeeping has come with towels. Enter the Karen. These towels don't look very clean. I can assure you they are. I just took them from the laundry room myself. Not good enough. I can get you different towels if you would like. She sort of sneered, but let me go get them. This time I went to the linen closet on the floor. Still fresh new towels, which most people are happy with, but not her. No, she wants fresh towels from the dryer, and she wants them still warm. This lady is on the 3rd floor, the laundry is in the basement. It's unlikely to get them still warm, even if the towels hadn't literally only just gone into the dryer and were sopping wet. If she wanted them that fresh, it would be an hour at least. Still not good enough. She wants them now, like I'm hiding them in my back pocket, and I'm just refusing to give her the good stuff. Now is when she says the line, "I want to speak to your manager. The front desk is available on call if you would like." No, your manager. Me too. For those of you at home, my manager had quit in September and I never got a new one. So the front desk was the closest she was going to get to my manager. Karen did not like this answer and sent me away. I let her know that she would receive her new towels as soon as the dryer was finished with them and walked away. I gave the front desk a heads up that they might encounter the Karen and merrily went on my way back to the laundry room. About 5 minutes later, I hear someone in the laundry hall. I'm the only person on shift that would go anywhere near the laundry, so I went to go see what was going on. There was a mask-less Karen trying to sneak into the employee-only area. I shut the door in her face, told her to please put a mask on and stay out of the restricted area. I call the front desk and let them know that Karen is trying to be sneaky and go back to my laundry. 10 minutes after that, the laundry room door opened on the emergency fire escape staircase entrance. Karen had gone around the whole hotel and found the one door to this staircase whose lock had broken and thought she'd be sneaky again to get to the mysterious towel nirvana. This lady sees me and decides now is the perfect moment to complain to me about the dirty laundry in our dirty laundry room area. I just so happened to be talking to the front desk about a different customer and got the go-ahead for what happened next on the spot. Like I said before, I have many jobs on this skeleton crew. One of them is security. So I get the great pleasure to inform Karen that she is no longer considered a guest in our hotel and has 10 minutes to get her stuff and get out. You're not security, you said you're housekeeping. I, who had been reading way too much Reddit, replied, "Look at me. I am security now. You can get your stuff and leave nicely, or you get to take a nice ride with the police who are stationed down the road." It gave me so much pleasure to wave cheerily from the lobby as this lady drove away, without her towels, which had just finished drying. Story 4. My husband and I had been looking forward to this night for weeks. We don't get out much, both working long hours at our respective jobs. So our 5th anniversary was something special we wanted to celebrate. We chose this local bar called the Corner Pocket because it was where we had our first date. It's a casual place with good food, a few pool tables in the back, and a relaxed atmosphere. Perfect for a low-key but meaningful celebration. I met my husband right after college. We both ended up working at the same tech company, though in different departments. What started as coffee breaks in the company cafeteria turned into dinner dates, and the rest is history. 5 years of marriage later, we're still going strong, despite the crazy work schedules and life's general chaos. So there we were, enjoying our anniversary dinner at a corner table. The food was great. We had ordered a bottle of wine, and everything was perfect until she walked in. This woman, let's call her Karen, walked in with 3 kids in tow. The oldest couldn't have been more than 10, the middle one around 7, and the youngest maybe 4 or 5. My first thought was, who brings children to a bar at 8 p.m. on a Friday night? But I tried not to judge. Maybe they were just grabbing a quick dinner. Our table was close to the pool tables, which is where Karen decided to station herself and her brood. She immediately ordered a cocktail for herself and sodas for the kids. The children started wandering around while Karen scrolled through her phone. My husband said this situation seemed odd. I agreed but suggested we focus on our own evening instead. We tried to ignore them and continue our celebration. My husband had just given me a beautiful bracelet, and we were toasting to many more years together when the real trouble started. The kids had discovered the pool tables and were grabbing at the balls, rolling them around. The oldest 2 started throwing them at each other, while the youngest was trying to climb on the table. Karen was now on her 3rd cocktail and completely oblivious, still glued to her phone. My husband said someone might get hurt if the children continued their behavior. I looked around for a staff member, but our server was busy with other tables, and the bartender was swamped. One of the pool balls rolled near our table, and I picked it up. I told Karen that her children might need supervision with the pool balls as they could get hurt. Karen finally looked up from her phone with a squint. She told me that her kids were just playing, and that I should mind my own business. I said I was worried because pool balls are heavy and could cause injury if thrown around. Karen asked if I was trying to tell her how to parent and said her children were fine before returning her attention to her phone. The kids had gotten louder in the meantime. The 2 older ones were openly throwing balls at each other across the table, while the youngest was using a pool cue like a sword. One of the balls went flying and nearly hit another patron. This was getting dangerous. I looked at my husband, who looked as uncomfortable as I felt. Our romantic anniversary dinner was quickly turning into a disaster. I asked Karen if she could please watch her children, as they were disrupting everyone and could hurt themselves or others. This time, Karen slammed her empty glass down and stood up, swaying slightly. She asked who I thought I was. She said she was trying to have one night of relaxation and told me I was harassing her. I explained my safety concerns and pointed out that we were in a bar, not a playground. Karen then said I didn't have children myself and didn't understand how difficult parenting is. She said she deserved a night out. Her voice was getting louder, drawing stares from other customers. One of her kids had now knocked over someone's beer at the next table. I apologized for her difficulties, but noted that this behavior wasn't appropriate for a bar. I mentioned it was our anniversary, which only made Karen angrier. She made fun of our anniversary and called me a princess for expecting to enjoy our special day. She was now shouting, her face red from alcohol and anger. The bar had gone quiet, everyone watching us. My husband asked her to lower her voice and supervise her children. Karen told him not to tell her what to do with her kids. And then it happened. She lunged forward, hand raised to slap me. I flinched back, but my husband caught her wrist mid-air. My husband said that enough was enough. Karen started screaming that she was being assaulted and told him to remove his hands from her. My husband let her go right away, stepping back with his hands up. He said he had only prevented her from assaulting me. The bar manager appeared, asking about the situation. Karen claimed that we were harassing her and her children, and that my husband had grabbed her. I told the true story, explaining that her children were throwing pool balls, creating danger, and when we asked for supervision, she tried to slap me before my husband intervened. Several patrons around us confirmed our version. One mentioned that the children had been out of control for an hour, and that Karen was the one causing problems. The manager told Karen to control her children or leave, explaining that the establishment was a bar, not a playground, and safety hazards couldn't be allowed. Karen accused them of discrimination against mothers and threatened to sue the establishment. The manager said he would call the police if she didn't calm down. Karen told him to call them, saying she would tell them about her alleged assault. The manager signaled to a staff member to make the call. Karen tried to gather her children, but they were scattered around the bar. When the police arrived, they listened to everyone's stories. Karen kept interrupting, slurring her words and making wild accusations. The officers separated us to take statements, and after reviewing the bar's security footage, they knew what happened. The officer told Karen that she had drunk too much and neglected her children in an adult establishment. He said they would have to take her in for public intoxication and attempted assault. Karen asked who would watch her children. The officer said that Child Protective Services had been called and would care for her children until a family member could pick them up. As they took her out, she continued shouting about lawsuits and discrimination. The manager brought our table a bottle of champagne and 2 glasses, apologizing for the incident and saying the rest of our meal would be free for our anniversary. It wasn't exactly the quiet, romantic celebration we'd planned, but it certainly became a memorable one. And yes, we still go to the corner pocket, but now we always request a table far away from the pool tables, just in case. Story 5. Sometime around 2002, my wife and I moved into an 1100 SQFT condominium with 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. We were very fortunate to get this condominium as a second owner, and we paid only $114, $6,000 more than the original price. Our condo was on the 3rd floor, and all rooms were carpeted throughout the condo, with only one small 4x4 square of linoleum inside the front door to the outside breezeway. This will become important later. And yes, even the bathrooms, kitchen, and dining room were carpeted. The front door opened to a large open space with vaulted ceilings, with the great room to the left and the dining room and kitchen to the right. The kitchen area was separated from the great room with a wall that had a cutout over the kitchen sink, and we had a long hallway directly going out of the great room to all the bedrooms and straight in front of the front door. We got to know some of the neighbors and got along well with most of them. The neighbors directly below us were a young couple that were attending university and were nice and cordial with us. Shortly after they graduated, they rented out their condo to her brother and his college friends. The brother was a decent guy, and we mostly had no problems except for one of his birthdays, where their music and boisterous conversations and happy birthdays, etc., kept us up until 4:30 a.m. in the morning. My wife and I returned the favor by blasting our music the very next morning at 8 a.m. But we talked a couple of weeks later and all had a laugh about it and never had any real problems after that. Between 2004 and 2006, we changed all the flooring in the kitchen and dining room to ceramic tile, including the area in front of the front door, to avoid having to pay for carpet cleaning in the dining or kitchen area due to spills or our young daughter throwing food on the floor from her high chair. In 2007, our cordial neighbors sold their condo to an older newlywed couple, late 20s to early 30s. Now, if anyone has lived in between a first and a third floor condo or apartment, you will know that it is the worst place to be if you expect silence. With kids or music, you will always have some noise that filters through the floor or ceiling. I don't know what they were thinking or expecting when they moved in there. I was blissfully unaware that the condo had been sold until one day about a month later. I brought home a powered subwoofer and hooked it up to my home theater sound system, around 6 p.m. I promptly put on an action flick with some big explosions and sat down to enjoy the new and improved immersive sound. After a little bit of gunfire and 2 explosions, I hear the doorbell ding-dong. I get up and immediately hear ding-dong again. I walk the 5 feet to my front door and open it to see my entitled neighbor, I'll call her Karen, standing on my doorstep. Me? Hi. Can I help you? Very agitated Karen. My husband and I are trying to enjoy a quiet and peaceful dinner. Can you please turn down whatever show you are watching? We can hear everything that's going on. Me? Oh, sure. Sorry about that. She turned around and walked away. I closed the door, turned the subwoofer down a ways and the main volume down a bit, and thought nothing of it. Shortly after the next round of gunfire and explosions, I hear the ding-dong and then some rapid-fire knocking at my door. I paused my movie and then I opened the door to see Karen again. Me? Hi. What can I do for you? Karen, we can still hear everything from your show. You need to turn it down now. At this point, I was a little fed up with her nonsense and decided to call her on it. Me. You say you can hear everything. Can you give me some of the last dialogue you heard? Karen. I don't know. I just know you are watching X show. She was totally wrong. Me. No. I am actually watching a different movie, and here are the last 3 lines of dialogue. And I gave her those lines. Me. It seems you can't hear my movie as well as you are claiming. Karen, with blazing eyes and red in the face. I don't care, it's too loud. You need to turn it down. Me. Actually, the noise ordinance says I don't have to turn it down until 10 p.m. Karen, getting huffy, fine. I guess my husband and I will have to go out to eat to get some peace and quiet. Me, in my most cheerful voice and waving. Have a good night. I then turned my subwoofer up a little and the main volume back up to its previous level and enjoyed the rest of my movie. The neighbors did end up going out that night for dinner or whatever. At our next HOA meeting, Karen stands up and complains long and loud about the noise. How she can hear kids jumping on the carpeted floor, and hear us walking up and down our hallway, and hear our music in movies and TV shows, and how the Hispanic neighbors on the first floor play their music on Saturday morning, so loud they can't sleep in, and argue so loud they can hear every word. This went on for 6 months. Every time she complained, the HOA told her, if it's between the hours of 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., we can do nothing. If it's after 10 p.m. and before 8 a.m., you can call the police. And then the HOA would send out a letter by us mail asking everyone to be cognizant of their neighbors and laying out the local city noise ordinance. I finally stopped attending the HOA meetings after 3 months of the same nonsense. She never failed to visit at least once or twice in the week after these notices, and twice she taped them to my door. I also learned during this time that they were members of our church and had actually been assigned to visit us each month. They never did. Cue the pro-revenge. Around the 6-7 month mark of her constant complaints and harassment, and even a couple of visits from some very apologetic police officers after 11 p.m. at night, they said they could hear nothing outside of my condo door. We decided to upgrade our flooring. We knew this would inflame our entitled neighbor, but we didn't care as we were tired of the constant stream of complaints from them. We chose to extend the entry tile all the way from the front door, down the long hallway to the master bedroom door, and we wanted to tile the bathrooms as well. We also went with a light coffee-colored bamboo hardwood in our great room. Suo. Demolition first. We tore out the carpet and tack strips and pried the base molding trim off the walls. As I'm removing the last of the nails from the walls and subfloor, about noon on a Saturday, wouldn't ya know, bang, 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 from the front door. Me. Yes? Karen, can you keep it down? I'm trying to have a pampered chef party. Me, of course. I promptly finished pulling or driving in nails, and then proceeded to bang my hammer all over the subflooring like I was driving loads of new nails for the next hour. and made sure to turn on my stereo to the local hard rock station and turn it up for the next 4 hours. FYI, the 1RST floor neighbors were already blaring some great mariachi music. They did this every Saturday and Sunday as they cleaned their condo from top to bottom. We then rented a hardwood floor nailer that, in addition to compressor noise and to loudly drive a nail into the flooring and subfloor, also had to be struck with a large dead blow hammer. Bang, bang, bang. It took us 2-3 days to install the coffee-colored bamboo hardwood flooring in the great room, and we were sure it was driving Karen absolutely batty. We ended up installing an awesome tile inlay down the hall, had tile running from the front door to the master bedroom door along the great room side of the divider wall, tile in the dining room, kitchen, and both bathrooms. We got the base molding on, more nail gun and compressor fun, and caulked. The new floors looked amazing, and the bonus was, every time a hard shoe, like my daughter's favorite Sunday shoes she wore everywhere, every day, or high heel. My wife chose to learn how to do everything in 4 6-inch stilettos during this time. Struck the floor, it was like the impact echoed through our perfect floors. All this was due to our neighbor complaining. It was also in preparation to sell our condo, as we had grown out of it by this time. We sold it within 1 month of listing at $160,000. During closing, the real estate agent for the new owners told us that the floors absolutely sold this place. We also sold at the very top of the real estate boom right before the real estate market crashed. We later learned from some of our neighbors that within 9 months of our selling our condo, the second floor entitled neighbors moved out and sold their condo for $30,000 less than we had, and took about an $8,000 loss, and sent a letter of complaint to the HOA stating their condo was unlivable because of the noise from our incredible floors. Story 6. My fiancé travels for work, and I work remotely, so sometimes I'll accompany him and we'll make a little trip out of it. Normally, we have to check in out of the hotel during work hours, so I wind up working for a few hours from a coffee shop or something. On this particular trip, we were in a really small town in the middle of the US, so there weren't any coffee shops. I worked, then, from the lobby of the hotel before we could check in, and after we had to check out. On the day we had to check out, I was sitting in the business center, which was really just a double-sided desk with one computer on one side and an empty workspace with some outlets on the other. I happened to be on my 20-minute lunch break, but I had my laptop open in front of me. This lady, we'll call her Karen, sat down to use the computer. I wasn't really paying attention, but I heard some vague clicking from the mouse and keyboard and huffing. She walked off, and I heard snippets of a conversation between her and the person at the front desk, where they explained the computer likely just needed to be rebooted. She walked back over and stood next to me for a second before I heard, "Excuse me, are you using this?" I looked up, and she was gesturing at my laptop on the desk in front of me. I told her, "Sorry, this is my personal laptop." She rolled her eyes at me and said, "You're not even using it. I just need it for like an hour." I've read stories about Karens and have even seen 1 or 2 in the wild, but I've never had a direct encounter with one, so I was ready. Like I said, this is my laptop. I don't really let strangers use it. She huffed at me, which I really thought people didn't actually do, and said, "You're sitting in the lobby, and you're not even using it." I was floored at this point. Using private property in a public space makes it public property now? Ma'am, it's my laptop. I'm using it, and even if I weren't, I still wouldn't let you use it. She huffed again and stormed off to the front desk. I felt bad for the lady at the front who had to deal with her after that, but she never came back. Apparently rebooting the hotel's computer was too much effort for her,